Lucasfilm seems to be keeping one of the coolest Star Wars characters ever from coming back in the modern era. Karl Urban's got a dead eye on who he'd want to play in a Red Dead movie, and for the love of God, stop asking Ralph Fiennes who he thinks should play Voldemort in the HBO series. I'm Tom Jorgensen, and this is your Daily Fix. Star Wars authors Claudia Gray and Timothy Zahn recently confirmed that each of them have made attempts to bring Mara Jade, a fan-favorite Jedi created by Zahn in the 90s, back into canon, but that those attempts have been routinely blocked by Lucasfilm. Speaking during a panel at MegaCon, both veteran Star Wars authors revealed that they've been independently asking to use Mara Jade in new books, with Gray summarizing her attempts by saying, quote, "A couple of times I was like, really? Really no Mara Jade?" And they were like, nope. Zahn chimed in after to confirm that he asked too and was also denied. This after Zahn also commented on the situation at DragonCon in 2024, where he said, quote, "I keep nudging Lucasfilm asking them if I could write a book. The answers come back basically someplace between no and heck no." When Disney bought Star Wars in 2012, all of the cool lore that authors, comic book writers, and video game developers added into what we used to call the expanded universe was snapped out of existence. That continuity was relabeled Legends, never to be spoken of again. But in the years since, Lucasfilm has been cherry-picking elements to bring back into canon. Perfect example in this case would be Grand Admiral Thrawn, another Zahn creation, being retooled as one of the main villains of Star Wars Rebels and Ahsoka. On paper, Mara Jade is a great candidate for similar treatment. She's a former assassin for the Emperor who marries Luke Skywalker and becomes a Jedi Master after initially being sent to kill him. And she's got a purple lightsaber, which we all know is code for that character being cool as hell. But based on Lucasfilm denying not only Claudia Gray, but the character's creator Timothy Zahn from reimagining her for the modern continuity, and the seeming firmness of that no, suggests that Lucasfilm may not want to open the can of worms that would come with changing the character to fit into story decisions made in the years since Disney acquired the franchise. For what it's worth, there are fans who are totally okay with Jade being left in the Legends continuity. One fan online said, quote, "I'm honestly fine with them never touching her. Bringing her into canon would change her character so much she would basically be a new character. We already have plenty of books and comics about her. Disney should focus on making their own characters at this point." If you're hungry for some Mara Jade action, I would humbly suggest trying out Star Wars Masters of Terasci, a dog-ass Tekken clone from the 90s where Mara Jade's an unlockable character. And ironically enough, Terasci, the martial art mentioned in that video game title, is back in canon after being mentioned by Kira in Solo: A Star Wars Story. Do you think Lucasfilm should bring back Mara Jade into canon? Let us know. Karl Urban is just a few months away from shadow kicking his way into and through our hearts as Johnny Cage in Mortal Kombat 2, but the Kiwi actor's already calling dibs on the next video game adaptation he wants to be a part of, Red Dead Redemption. During an interview with Square Mile, Urban was asked if there are any other video game franchises he'd like to tackle after Mortal Kombat, and he'd clearly been giving it some thought, saying, quote, "Red Dead Redemption is one of my favorites. Red Dead is a fantastic game." Urban goes on to mention that he hasn't had much opportunity to keep up with gaming during his busy career, but that, quote, "From time to time when I did get the rare opportunity, Red Dead was certainly one of the games that spoke to me." Urban wrapped up by revealing which character he'd like to play, saying, quote, "I mean, come on, John Marston. I'd love to play that character." Marston's, of course, the protagonist of 2010's Red Dead Redemption, and a secondary protagonist of that game's prequel, Red Dead Redemption 2. I'm actually currently playing Red Dead 2 for the first time. I literally just dragged John Marston's ass off the mountain. And how did he get up there in the first place? Was he like trying to cross the Rainbow Bridge into Jotunheim or something? It's so cold and so high. Why would you go there? Anyway, as cool as a Red Dead movie would be, Rockstar has shown very little interest in developing their IP as films, with the late Rockstar co-founder Dan Howser commenting in 2024 that a GTA movie in particular seemed risky, saying, quote, "Why would we do this? And, quote, what you've described is you making a movie and us having no control and taking a huge risk that we're going to end up paying for with something that belongs to us. Howser continued, saying, quote, they thought we'd be blinded by the lights, and that just wasn't the case. We had what we considered to be a multi-billion-dollar IP, and the economics never made sense. The risk never made sense. In those days, the perception was that games made poor quality movies, end quote. And apropos of nothing, Karl Urban has starred in a video game movie before, 2005's Doom, which, beyond its first-person shooter sequence, which still rips and tears, is not fondly remembered by anybody, except for me. I read the novelization of that movie. It was my first R-rated movie in a theater. I know Karl Urban's name is Reaper in that movie just off the top of my head. That's just up there. I was fully doom-pilled. But video game adaptations have gotten a lot better overall since then. So you keep holding out hope, Red Dead fans. If Mortal Kombat 2 is a big hit at the box office, maybe Rockstar will warm up to the idea of Karl Urban saddling up as John Marston on the big screen. Or maybe Arthur Morgan. In any case, go watch Dredd this weekend. This is a public service announcement. Watch Dredd. And finally, that scream of anguish that you just heard out your window, that was Academy Award winner Ralph Fiennes venting after being asked about the casting of Lord Voldemort in HBO's upcoming Harry Potter series for the 10,000th time. Although, to be fair to him, he does have a pretty good choice this time around. Appearing on the Claudia Winkleman show, Fiennes commented on the new adaptation of the Potter books, and after confirming that he thinks the ship has sailed on he himself reprising the role, Fiennes said, quote, I tell you, Tilda Swinton was mentioned somewhere as being a contender, and I think she would be amazing. She would be fantastic, end quote. And you know what, Rafe? Yeah, she would be. She's played the villainous White Queen in the Narnia movies, and she's no stranger to gender-bent adaptations of characters, having played both the Ancient One in Doctor Strange and Gabriel in Constantine. She also absolutely crushes as the 82-year-old Dr. Joseph Klemperer in the Suspiria remake. Yes, that is Tilda Swinton. Point is, she can do anything. So yeah, Tilda as the Dark Lord, let's go. Let's do it. I'm there. Swinton is the latest talented actor whose name has been tossed onto the pile of potential parcel-tongue provocateurs, with Paul Bettany and Cillian Murphy also being popular picks. Murphy, for his part, has fully taken himself out of the running for playing the character, telling the Times, quote, I'm categorically not. Can you make that the headline? End quote. At this point, Fiennes has thrown his support behind both Cillian Murphy and Tilda Swinton. Enough. Stop asking him about it. That's as good as it's gonna get. Here's a bunch of other stuff that you could ask Ralph Fiennes about. How you doing, man? What was it like to shoot in Bruges? Is Colin Farrell nice? Those are the only two things I can think of. But in any case, the new Harry Potter HBO series will be making that casting call before long. The series premieres this Christmas, and you've got to imagine that someone's face is gonna be popping out of the back of Quirrell's head when he takes that turban off, right? And that is your daily fix for Friday, April 10th. It's time for a brand new month of gaming. Jump into the Humble April Choice bundle and score an amazing lineup of titles. Right now, you can grab Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Daemon X Machina Titanic Scion, Lord of the Rings Return to Moria. Until then, Planet of Lana, Artisan TD, The Procession of Calvary, and Buddy Simulator 1984. This all supports Reverb, a nonprofit harnessing the cultural power of music to drive real-world change by greening concerts, eliminating single-use plastics, and bringing large-scale clean energy solutions to live music. Head to humblebundle.com now through May 5th to start playing today. And if you're looking for something else to watch, hey, maybe check out my interview with Star Wars Maul Shadow Lord's Sam Witwer. He's got a pretty great pick for what 90s Star Wars character he wants to see brought back into canon. Go check that out. For everything else, you're already in the right place. IGN. Have a good weekend.